these are some books we've read aloud recently. Hey guys, today I wanted to do a reading wrap-up of our read alouds from, I think, kind of like the middle of the summer, maybe till now. I've never done that on this channel before, but I thought it would be fun to kind of tell you the books that we've been reading and give you some of our thoughts on them. Now, when I say reading, I'm 100% talking about listening to books on audio. I've said it many times in my newsletter and on like my blog. I'm really bad at reading aloud. I don't know. I stumble all over my words, honestly. It's like, why do I even have a YouTube channel? I don't know. And I find that when I'm reading, I'm like reading way ahead with my eyes and my brain, but my voice is like way over here, and I just can't do it. So even if we own the actual physical copy of the book, we get it usually from the Libby app, sometimes the Hoopla app from our library. Sometimes we buy books from Audible, and sometimes we have used Script as well. So just know that the audiobooks here can come from a variety of places. So these are some of the books that I think all, if I have been keeping track properly, these are all the books that we read in the last few months. So the first one was the book Scavenger. We don't own book one, but it was book one that we listened to. And this was a fun story about a girl that moves to San Francisco, and in this time, they have a game called Book Scavenger, which is a website. You go online, you figure out where a book is hidden around you, and you have to solve a clue to figure out exactly where this book is hidden. And we had so much fun with it, and apparently you can do this in real life. We keep meaning to actually hide books for local friends. It has not happened yet, but it is something on our want to do list. We all really enjoyed this book, and then my daughter went on to read book 2, which is The Unbreakable Code, and book 3, which I think is called Escape from Alcatraz or something, and she really enjoyed the entire series. Next up was Sweep. This is a fantastical historical fiction story about a girl who's a chimney sweep, and she has this monster friend, and it is both funny and heartbreaking at the same time, and was probably my favorite middle grade book that I read this year. So I read it on my own first, and then I realized we have to read this as a family, and I teared up both times. Very, very well written. Really enjoyed it. Our whole family enjoyed that one. Next up was, I think it's a classic, depending what you term a classic. I guess this was written in '87. I thought it was written later. This is Hatchet. So this is a survival story. A 13-year-old boy, I think he is, goes down in a plane crash, and the pilot dies, and he has to figure out how to survive until help comes. I know a lot of people really like this book, but we didn't really. I think I would maybe give it like a 3-star. There's this kid, his parents have gotten divorced, and the way he talks about the divorce, it's always called The Secret, and I don't know, I wasn't a huge fan of the writing, the way the author constantly repeats the same line over again. The survival parts were really interesting, but overall I just didn't really see why people love this book so much. But that could just be us. In that same vein, Fever 1793. We listened to this on audio. Just disclaimer here, the audio, the narrator is not good. She constantly kind of sounds like she's got like a whining voice. I don't know, it was so hard to listen to, but so many people said this book was good, so I wanted to press on. And the mother in here, so this is historical fiction about the fever in Philadelphia in 1793, but there was some character growth, so it was a little bit better in the end, but I really struggled with this one. I wanted to quit it so many times, but because I know people really enjoyed it, I wanted to press on. I want to try more of this author's writing, so hopefully I enjoy her writing more in the future. I read a book after this. It's called The Great Trouble, about the cholera epidemic in London, and it had similar vibes to this, but was way better. I enjoyed that one so much more. Then we listened to a few books in a series that I'm forgetting the actual name of the series, but the first one I think was Sir Kendrick and the Castle of Belle-Lyon, and we listened to Sir Bentley, and I can't remember if we listened to another one in that series or not. They're Christian fiction, kind of like fantasy, about knights, and the good guys are the knights, and then there's like the bad side, and I don't remember the details. It was okay. The series was okay. We didn't go beyond the Sir Bentley book. I didn't think they were like the most well written, but they were okay. And then another one we did was Wonder. I read this book years ago, but I was just waiting for my kids to be older so we could listen to this one together, and we all really enjoyed it. It's about a boy who has some facial deformities, I guess. I'm not really sure of the correct terminology, and he goes to school for the first time. There are some things where, like, you know, kids can be mean. My daughter was actually born with I guess it's technically a birth defect, where her head was just growing long and not round, and so she had surgery on her head where they reopened her soft spot and took out a piece of the bone of her skull when she was 9 months old. So as a parent, I understand your child looking different and wanting them to look normal for their own sake, because kids are mean. Thankfully, most people can't even see the huge zigzag scar that my daughter has from ear to ear. So she doesn't have this lasting effects like he does in Wonder. But as a parent, I felt like I could relate to this mother quite a bit. As a homeschooler, I was like, why does he have to go to school anyway? Like, it just seems like this is what you do because you go to school. But whatever, we enjoyed the book. We enjoyed that some people were kind to him, and it opened up a lot of good conversations in our family. Then on a regular basis, we will often throw in some Christian heroes then and now stories. So in the summer, we listened to Cunningham. He is the guy, I think, that founded YWAM. We really enjoyed his story. Recently, we listened to George Mueller for the second or third time. We really enjoy his story. So he started an orphanage in England back just before the 1900s, and took in like 3,000 orphans at one point had 3,000 orphans at a time, and never asked for a penny. So this is a really good story about faith and relying on God. Really enjoyed this one. And then we're actually currently listening to another one. That one is Mildred Cable. She goes to China. So for her story is a lot not as interesting, maybe. Nothing major has happened. She's kind of like going from place to place doing things. And it's fine. It's just maybe not as interesting of a story as some. And then the only other book I think that we've read that I want to talk about here is The War That Saved My Life. Now, this is a popular World War II historical fiction book. It's about a girl who has a clubfoot. Her mom is just abusive, and she and her brother go away to a home because they leave London so they aren't bombed, and they go to a different home and actually know what it's like to be cared for. Yeah, this book is okay. I feel like we have listened to / read quite a bit of World War II historical fiction, and I just want to like read about some other things now. That's why I'm so glad for other historical fiction books. I feel like there's been such an increase in the last few years of authors writing some really good ones, and I have so many on my list that I want us to get to. So those are the books that we've been reading or listening to lately. If you've been reading some really good ones as a family, I would love to hear about them. And thanks for watching, guys.